Hello, peeps. So, I promised that I would start a new YA book, and I finally have chosen one that I think deserves a lot of face time. They all do, but this one I really want to introduce to you guys because I discovered this story on a little app called Webtoon. And for those of you who do not know what that is, it is basically comic books online, written by the everyday person. And one of these Webtoon content creators, did a comic adaptation of an already existing book. I'm about to show you guys. And it was such a powerful story and narrative, and it brought a whole other perspective to the story that you can only get with the visual uh, platform of comics, that we have to go over this. So here it is. The Weight of Our Sky by Hanna Alkaf. And so I'm going to go ahead and read that inside little summary bit here, just to give you some context of the stuff that we're going to be talking about in these next couple of mock videos I'm going to do for this book. So here we go. Malalti Ahmed has imagined her mother's death countless times. Plagued by gruesome thoughts she believes are put into her head by a jinn, Malalti has developed an intricate set of tapping rituals to tame the monster within and keep her mother safe. But there are things that Malalti can't protect her mother from. On the evening of May 13th, 1969, racial tensions in her home city of Kuala Lumpur, don't hate me, boil over. The Chinese and Malays are at war, and Mel and her mother become separated by a city in flames. With a 24-hour curfew in place and all lines of communication down, it will take the help of a Chinese boy named Vincent and all of the courage and grit in Malalti's arsenal to overcome the violence on the streets, her own prejudices, and her jinn's surging power to make it back to one person she can't risk losing. We go. I'm going there. You thought My Year in the Middle was a trip. Well, get ready, people. So Malalti is Malay. Okay, and so, for those of you who don't know, there's a lot of conflicts going on simultaneously in the world, wherever you're at. And the history of Malaysian and Chinese tensions is a very interesting one to study. And when you are always going over these narratives, like, for example, I just brought up My Year in the Middle, and or The Weight of Our Sky, you have an opportunity to incorporate some social studies, some history, right? It would be very important, I think, immediately off the bat to show them a map of where Malaysia is in regards to China. I mean, they're neighbors. Okay, there's tensions there for a reason. Let's just say that. Um, and so Malalti, based on this little summary that we get here from the author, if it wasn't um, obvious, she has chronic OCD. Okay, her past is wrought with trauma, and so she has created these tapping rituals. And for those of you who don't know, um, many people with OCD, they have these patterns they cannot deviate from. Okay, if they do, it's just it's it's a mental it's a mental strain, and that is putting it so lightly. And the comic does a great job of illustrating what it's like to be in the head of someone who has OCD. But the author personifies this OCD as a jinn. The jinn is whispering things in her ear, saying, if you don't do your tap, 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 she's going to die, she's going to die. And the reason there is a lot of, I guess, fear, to put it simply, for Malati is because her mother is a nurse, just to give you a little bit of background knowledge. And so to be in this time where there is Chinese and Malays who are arguing, fighting, in the midst of basically an all-out breakout war, she is going to be on the front lines. So she has cause to be worried. Okay. So I chose this book because I read the comic first, the comic version, and I think we definitely need to go to the original and we need to do it justice and we need to read it, we need to talk about it. And so I will definitely be incorporating both um, the original text and then its interpretive comic text. And definitely go read it. It's amazing. Just so you know, it is during a wartime, and so there is a lot of imagery that may be, full disclosure, it may be upsetting to some people. So just knowing that just right off the bat for people who are interested in this, just so you know that. Um, but before we go into reading chapters, I then want to read the back of the book because it is different than the synopsis that we get in the inside cover, just to kind of round out this video and give context to people. So here we go. This is Malalti talking. I feel a sudden urge to tell her, to blurt out everything all at once. No, Saf, I'm not okay. I haven't been okay for a long time now. I'm constantly imagining my own mother's death. I spend all my time and energy wrestling with a demon in my head that only I can see or hear. And any time I'm not doing that, I'm busy counting and tapping everything in sight just to shut him up. I'm really, really not okay. I'm so far from okay, I don't even remember what okay feels like anymore. Yeah, right. I'm fine, I say quickly. Just daydreaming. So, what records shall we look at today? I wanted to read that for you guys because, and not to draw comparisons between OCD and people with disabilities, but there's something to be said about women with disabilities, like who are on the spectrum, like with autism or ASD. They do a really good job masking their symptoms. And this, to me, just my own personal thing, like someone who has Asperger's, this was so like, yep, I'm fine. Change the subject. Like, and so this story is going to have a lot of cool elements into it. And it's not just gloom and doom. It's a really unique way to look at the conflict of two groups through the eyes of children. There's an innocence that can be brought with that. That's kind of been a running theme for me. Like we say that in Diary of Anne Frank. And so it brings us back to our humanity. And so just so you guys know, there is a method to the madness for why I am consistently choosing these types of stories. Because the perspectives and the narratives of children matter. And we need to not leave them out of the conversation. Adults kind of have a funny way of doing that. They get hurt, they get jaded, they get upset. And often, too often, the kids are the ones who pay the price. So this story, believe it or not, has a good ending. So I'm really excited to share with you guys The Weight of Our Sky. So awesome.